Howdy folks, and welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the world of legends and myths. Today, we race saddling up for a ride into the heart of the American West to meet a man who was more than just a man, he was a force of nature. We're talking about the one, the only Pecos Bill. Now, you might think you know cowboy stories, but Bill's tale starts in a way you'd never expect. Legend says he was born in the 1830s to a pioneer family so tough, they decided to move west because their new neighbors were getting too close, a mere 50 miles away. During the journey, a young Bill, just a toddler, fell out of the family wagon near the Pecos River. Did he cry? Did he panic? Nope. He was found and raised by a pack of coyotes. He learned their language, their ways, and grew up thinking he was one of them. For years, he ran with the pack, howling at the moon and living wild and free. It wasn't until a wandering cowboy found him and had a lengthy debate to convince him he was a coyote that Bill finally rejoined human society. But he never lost that wild spirit. Once he accepted he was human, Pecos Bill decided he'd be the best cowboy there ever was. And let me tell you, his resume was something else. He didn't use a regular rope. He invented the lasso, using a live rattlesnake he named Shake. His horse? No ordinary Mustang. His loyal steed was a mighty stallion named Widowmaker, a horse so fierce no one else could ride him. Some tales even say his real name was Lightning, and he was fueled by dynamite. Together, they were an unstoppable team, taming the wild frontier like no one before. Bill's feats were the stuff of pure, unadulterated legend. They say he dug the Rio Grande River one hot afternoon just to get a drink of water for his cattle. He supposedly staked out the entire state of New Mexico and used Arizona as his personal cattle ranch. Feeling a little bored, he'd practice his roping skills by lassoing entire herds of cattle at once. He was a man who saw problem and solved it with sheer willpower and a bit of larger-than-life creativity. These weren't just campfire stories. They were explanations for the vast and sometimes harsh landscape of the West. A deep canyon, Bill probably carved it, a strange rock formation. Bill's handiwork, but perhaps his most famous adventure, the one that truly cemented his legendary status, was the day he rode a cyclone. A massive tornado, the biggest anyone had ever seen, was tearing across the plains, threatening everything in its path. Was Pecos Bill scared? Of course not. He saw it as a challenge. He calmly jumped onto the back of the spinning twister and rode it like a bucking bronco. He rode that cyclone across Texas, Oklahoma, and all the way to California. The storm rained so hard from the effort of trying to throw him off that it created the Grand Canyon. When the cyclone finally tired out, it dumped him in Death Valley, a place so hot it was said to be created by his fall. This single story captures the essence of Pecos Bill, a man who did just endure nature as fury, but tamed it. The tales of his life were as wild as the West itself. He married a woman as remarkable as he was, a cowgirl named Slewfoot Sue. She was a legend in her own right, famous for riding a giant catfish down the Rio Grande. On their wedding day, she insisted on riding Widowmaker, the horse, jealous of anyone else getting Bill's attention. Bucked her off so high she bounced off the moon. Depending on who you ask, she either kept bouncing for days or is still up there bouncing for eternity. It's a tragic, yet fittingly absurd, part of the Pecos Bill mythology. Even the end of his life is wrapped in tall tales. Some say he died laughing. He met a city slicker from Boston who was so decked out in ridiculous cowboy gear, lizard skin boots, a giant hat, and fancied buckles that Bill found it hilarious. He laughed so hard he burst a lung and died with a smile on his face. Another version claims he died from drinking poison, not because someone tricked him, but because he thought the wolf poison was just spicy moonshine and was disappointed it wasn't stronger. It's a fitting end for a man who lived life on his own terms. finding humor and bravado in everything. So what does the story of Pecos Bill really mean? He's more than just a collection of silly, exaggerated stories. He is the embodiment of the American frontier spirit, in a time when pioneers faced immense hardship, brutal weather, vast and unforgiving landscapes, and constant danger. They needed a hero who was bigger than their problems. Pecos Bill was that hero. He represented optimism, ingenuity, and the sheer grit it took to build a life in the American West. He was a symbol of manifest destiny, the idea that Americans could and should conquer the continent. The stories weren't meant to be believed literally. They were meant to inspire and entertain, to make the impossible seem possible. Pecos Bill's legacy lives on. He's a staple of American folklore, a character who shows up in books, songs, and even animated movies. He teaches us that sometimes the best way to face a challenge is with a bit of humor and a whole lot of confidence. He's a reminder of a time when the world seemed bigger, the adventures grander, and the heroes were as wild and untamed as the land they called home. He is the ultimate cowboy, the king of the tall tale, and a true American original. Thanks for joining me on this trip through the legendary West. If you enjoyed hearing about Pecos Bill, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of epic heroes and fascinating myths. Let us know in the comments who your favorite folk hero. Until next time, stay legendary.